Well, you know what's Eddie is being really beneficial for me is that if you say you watch my interactions, yeah, I got that one cop that literally came out and I pulled out the paperwork on them and I said, the
Are you
Supreme
talking about
Court,
the black guy in that video you
yeah,
sent me the link to? Yeah.
yeah, man. And that just goes, it's like if you know, they kind of respect it. You see what I'm saying, Eddie?
Right.
If you stand on it enough, they're gonna
Right.
respect
When
it
you
and be
don't
like,
when you don't sound like a hostile moron or just a moron, they're more and you're cordial and open and you know, you remain calm, cool and collected, they're much more likely to engage with you. And they're
especially
much
when
more likely to be receptive.
yeah, especially when they tried it. This is where they hiccup, I think, most of the people. Okay. This question, if they know they can get you to surrender to this question, it's over with, right? The question is, you don't have a right to drive, it's a privilege. If you say no, they got you. If you say you're right, they know that you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they say to you,
Well, they are
you
right.
you don't have a right to drive,
Yeah, they're
that's a
absolutely right.
privilege. And if the people say, that's not true, I do have a right to drive. Oh, that's it. You done cut your head off right there.
Well, but
Because
see,
it
here's
shows
how
that
I
you
would
don't understand the terminology in and of itself.
right. And here's what I'd come back with. I don't have a right to be arrested either, yet here we fucking stand. So you're engaging in activity that I have no right to, but you're alleging activity that you can't prove to be true in relation to me, i.e., that nexus thing. Now,
Yeah.
again, not an argument you want to have with the cop on the side of the road, but
Yeah.
there's always ways to address it. You just need the proper place and the proper frame of mind to do it. Now, that
Yeah.
said, let me see what Thomas wanted to ask.
Yeah. What's up, Thomas? Come on up now.
Well, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, I just got out yesterday. I got arrested Thursday for fictitious plates. I'm out here in Brandon, Texas, so I'm learning a lot when you said Texas because I'm mad. And I
Well,
want
that
to know
case
what's
law that my friend set was right here in the Fifth Circuit. There is case law that says they cannot charge you with false and fictitious plates in Texas or anywhere else
okay.
for that matter,
Okay,
unless
so
they can prove that you specifically attempted to forge a similar plate.
That's beautiful. Do they use terminology too as far as fictitious plates?
Yes, uh, and the case is Robert Fox versus the state of Texas, I think.
That's good.
Fox,
Yeah, Robert Fox versus the state of Texas.
Texas. Okay, and another thing I want to ask is like, what steps? Because I know I got arrested on the spot. He didn't say nothing. He just like this is because I gave my passport ID. I had interactions with this cop before, and
Uh-huh.
because I have my plates, and I gave him my legal notice of demand, and they
Legal
just
notice and
disregarded all
demand
that.
of what?
Of my legal notice of demand is I'm not in that fictitious. I've listened to what you said earlier, so I'm like, well, a legal notice of demand is that when I get stopped by the cops, I'm not in their jurisdiction, so forth, so forth. I have my schedule fees and all that, and they're just like, psh, psh. But I know that they cannot just arrest me on the spot with no crime. I didn't
Uh,
do anything wrong.
Yeah, warrantless arrest.
Yes, warrantless arrest, no warrant anything. So I just want to know what steps do man, this is a blessing that I even checked my email today. Thank you, Cameron, and thank you, Eddie, for hosting and being available, man. You guys are God sent, but I just need some steps of information. And I've been studying this for a little bit, but I've been studying wrong because Eddie, thank you for really enlightening me because I'm like, just like pretty much everyone else is on here,
I don't
figuring
know,
out
Eddie.
this
Eddie, I
process.
think you must have been shadow banned, man, because you the godfather of this. I'm going
Yeah,
to be
man.
like,
well,
what?
there are those places out there on the internet that like to say that I don't know what I'm talking about and all this kind of stuff, and that here's all this case law that says the complete opposite of what he's saying. But what they fail to understand about the case law they're presenting is the case law does not address what I'm saying. It addresses an argument, okay, that involves certain subjects I do discuss, but it is not at all relevant to the actual argument I make regarding that subject. It doesn't cite the law that I cite. It doesn't cite the argument I use or I formulate from that law and the logic I apply to the argument. None of that's cited in that case. None of it's discussed in that case. The case, as far as my argument goes, and the basis on which I made it, is 100% fucking irrelevant. That's why I don't give a shit what they say their case law says. To my knowledge, most of the things that I make an argument about, there are no cases on. Because the argument was never made that way, if at all. And the few times I have gone back and dug around and found an argument that looked like the one I was making, one, it was not made the same way. It was not based upon the same statutes and reasoning behind the one that I have. And therefore, it doesn't really affect what I'm trying to say. And I would go, and when I wrote my pleadings, I would say, notwithstanding the case of such and such, where the court ruled the following, and then I would lay out what the court said about that argument as it was presented to them. I would then say what the original court and appellate argument did not address is all of this. And had it addressed all this, the outcome would have most certainly been the complete opposite of what it was. And so that's why I don't give a shit what these places say I do or don't know. They don't know what I do or don't know. They only go like most people that get into the shit they get into. They think they understand what I'm saying. They're basing it on what they believe and understand things to be without any actual input from me about my mindset and reasoning, and presuming to understand it in a way that they can say I'm wrong.
Without even applying it in the first place.
Or following it through step by step to see exactly how I connected the dots that refutes how they're saying it doesn't apply.
I would be one of those guys.
Well, I think most people are, because again, like I said, we always be looking for somebody to show us. It's like the other night, we had some people on and I'm just like, hey, can y'all show us what you're talking about? Can you show me some proof here? Not one document, not one link.
Yeah. Now, who said that I'm one of those guys?
No, never. That's never been you, bro.
No. Somebody in the group right before you started talking said that. Who was that?
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
they said, I've never heard anything negative. They're saying throughout this whole thing, I never heard anything negative.
I'd have swore I heard someone say I'm one of those guys.
No, man.
Oh, no. I said that. I said that about me.
Oh, right. Yeah. He was talking about
what I wanted to do was give you an opportunity to clarify what you meant by that.
Yeah, no, Eddie, I'm sorry you misinterpreted.
No, I'm not misunderstanding. I'm wanting everybody else to understand.
I'm the one that will go out there and try to implement it without being a master like you, like when the cop pulled me up.
And doing all of your due diligence?
Yeah. So, officer, I said, what was the emergency? Go through the procedures. No emergency. You're doing 86 and 70. Okay, so what is the crime? And I go, what's the crime that I'm being investigated on? You were driving 86 and a 70. Well, that's not a crime. That's it's a violation of the statute of.
It's an infraction.
An infraction, and that's not a crime. So what is the crime? And that is a crime. That is, So
now, again, that depends on whether or not your particular state charges it as a crime.
Well, Georgia said it was their crime.
Right, and Texas says it's a crime too. It's a Class C misdemeanor. The problem is they can't prove the allegation they're making. They can never, ever prove the allegation they're making. And I already went through some of the steps with the other guy about why that is.
Well, I like to attack the constitutional aspects and principles on the forefront anyways, before we even get to the allegations that are being brought up before. I feel like if we're attacking that aspect first on the probable cause and everything, that can get deep in and of itself. And then if we apply the rule of lenity, you know what I'm saying? Then the rule of lenity already says it's supposed to favor the defendant. And if they don't favor in regards to us, we hit them with a disqualification.
Yeah.
And then if we got problems with the disqualification, hit them with the stay in injunctive relief of pending appeal. I mean, we can put them in that box every way.
Yeah, but let me interject once again. Do not fail to ignore the steak for the mashed potatoes and the carrots. Okay? Don't do that. If you're going to build a case, you always start with your biggest, strongest foundation. Whatever helps you the most is where the base of your case and defense lies.
That's individual in and of itself. With each person is going to be different.
If you're building a house, do you want the foundation to be a pebble or a fucking flat mountaintop?
Now you're talking my language.
Okay? I don't know about y'all. I'm choosing the fucking mountaintop. Flat, hard, and going no fucking where anytime soon. I don't want to have to deal with this itty bitty ass pebble as the basis for what I'm standing on when I make my argument. I want firm, sure footing no matter which way I step. Well, that's how you build your case. You pick the strongest argument you've got with the most evidence and support, and you start there. You can branch out if it will help you and won't cloud the issue and won't bore the court to the point of just going, fuck it, find him guilty. Okay? Pick your strongest argument and stick with it. All right? Now, in Texas, there just happens to be several strong simultaneous arguments. So we break them up into their individual pieces, and we base our foundational argument on that specific piece, and we don't intermix.
Right.
Okay. That's why there was 400 plus legal pleadings in my first seminar, because I wrote a separate motion for every fucking argument I made.
That's crazy. That's a lot of work, bro. My God. It's a lot of work. Okay.
Yeah, that and a 260 some odd page book in 2 months.
Eddie, what can we do to get you to run for office?
For real.
I mean, if we get enough to vote you in, can we do it that way?
A gun to my head and a cattle prod up my ass. That's the only way you're going to get me in fucking office.
I can arrange that. I have my Second Amendment.
Okay.
Oh, man.
No, I've actually considered running for Justice of the Peace, because you don't have to be a lawyer to be a Justice of the Peace in Texas. And then, as a Justice of the Peace, I would go visiting all these other courtrooms. And every time I saw a judge violate the Code of Criminal Procedure and thus act under the rules of official oppression and official misconduct, and abuse of official capacity, I would file criminal charges and issue an arrest warrant for that judge. That's what I would have done as a JP, which means I wouldn't have either lived long or kept the job for long. Because they would have come after me hell-bent to leather to get me out of that job if I had started doing that. But that was exactly what my plan in getting the job was.
Well, I'll tell you what would happen, though, is if that was the case, you'd have a lot of people backing and behind you. You know what I'm saying? It'd be different. If you're really out there for the people, that builds a big following.
Yeah, but the problem there is while they couldn't stop me from running for office and being elected, they could start trying to fabricate criminal charges to get me ousted and thrown in jail.
Okay, yeah.
That would have been the problem.
Yeah, but again, that's a what if. Are you now operating on what if?
Oh, no, that's an absolute certainty. If I was having an impact and I was being successful, it's a guaranteed certainty I'd have had somebody breaking into my house, planting fucking drugs, or some other shit like that, accusing me of bribery or taking bribes or some sex offense or something like that, just so they could prosecute me and get me in jail.
So that's what's holding you back then, that's what you're saying?
No, it's not what's holding me back. It's just simply I've got bigger fish to fry.
Okay, I get it. Everybody's got their own thing they're trying to do. I get it.
There was a time when I didn't give a rat's ass about that and would have gone and done it. But I'm getting too damn old to spend all my days in a fucking concrete floor in a jail cell, trying to prove I'm right.
I don't ever want to go there again.
You can be sent to jail. In a case where you can be sentenced to jail, it is mandatory that legal counsel be assigned unless you make that express written or verbal waiver on the record. And even then, they're going to keep an attorney attached to the case in an advisory capacity. If they don't, that case will get overturned on appeal by the United States Supreme Court because they're the ones that ruled you can't fucking do it.
Even according to 28 U.S.C. 1654?
I'm sorry, was there any point in this where I stuttered about what the rules are? If you can go to jail, they will make sure there is an attorney attached to your case. He may not be speaking for you as first chair, but he will always be made available to you in an advisory capacity in the second chair. And if they don't do that, they risk your case being overturned on appeal for violation of the right to counsel. I cannot say it any more clearly and succinctly than that.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if you waive counsel or not. If you can go to jail, they are not going to allow you to stand there entirely on your own without legal counsel present.
Now, does that have something to do with the fact that they kind of turned into everything is now not really attorneys? They're more like esquires?
Again, an irrelevant argument.
Okay. Golly, why you have to do me like that?
That has to do with titles of nobility, which there used to be a constitutional amendment that had legal repercussions for accepting a title of nobility, such as esquire. However, during the War of 1812 and the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, the records of that were somehow destroyed, allegedly. Even though that amendment to the Constitution existed in the published constitutions of the United States for over 65 years. Some U.S. president decided by executive decree that because the records showing that amendment being added to the Constitution no longer existed, it had to be removed. But without that amendment, there is no penalty to any public official for taking a title of nobility. The Constitution says you can't do it, but it does not apply any action or consequence for doing so, and thus has no teeth.
Okay.
I'm sorry I know all this shit, but there you go.
Nah, I've been utilizing the no title of nobility and within my abatements, my memorandums in my abatements. So, you know,
but I'm just telling you why. If the court looks at it and goes, you'll know why.
Of nobility in my lawsuit.
Okay. Anything else?
Did we talk at all about the straw man? I had to walk away for a minute.
Everything we've talked about is a fucking straw man.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree. I was talking about the separation of oneself, like making it known.
Let me clarify where the straw man argument came from, and it has to do with legal person versus natural person, and it is a misunderstanding of what the law is and how it works. This is how I make the argument. There is no such thing as a straw man. There is only a private or legal capacity. The legal capacity is the one that the law created. Person, driver, operator, mayor, police officer, prosecutor, judge, senator, congressman, governor, president. Those are all legal capacities. Okay? A private capacity is something that is not relevant to man-made authoritative positions. They are individual private positions. Father, son, brother, sister, daughter, mother, grandmother, me, myself, and I. Those are personal capacities. Okay? The goal here is to show that the legal capacity and the private capacity have no nexus. They're not like this. They are literally this. Okay?
Agreed.
Now, what is the other aspect of a legal capacity? The legal capacity has no legal relevance or power until someone from the private capacity joins with that legal capacity in order to perform the duties and functions given to that legal capacity.
It's so simple. You're right, obviously.
A police officer is nothing more than a title and a uniform till some living, breathing human being puts on the color of law and assumes the duties applied with both.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Well put.
Same thing applies to every other one of the capacities, the legal capacities I just enumerated for you.
Right.
And all of those that I did not.
So separating yourself is not a bad idea as it relates to making it known that I am not making joinder for the purpose of this instrument or assumption you call it
I
driver's
want
license.
your evidence that I have engaged myself in this capacity so as to have a nexus with the rules and regulations regulating that capacity.
Dude, it's the same exact thing. It's just that you're doing it in the form of you prove it, and I'm saying do it in the form of do it in advance. And it's just, I get it. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's the same thing in a sense. You're right. Yeah.
And only in the sense that one is man-made and one is not. That's as close to me in my mind as they get to being similar.
So
because we can absolutely prove the existence of a legal capacity. Because that capacity is specifically defined by that law as this.
Right.
And that capacity has this authority and these duties associated with that authority. We can prove that irrefutably. You cannot do that by saying straw man, straw man, straw man, and throwing a fucking match at it.
Yeah, I didn't know much about
Not going to work.
But it really boils down to identifying who you are as a man versus artificial.
Who you are in the private versus the public.
What about
the
charge?
public capacity is the legal capacity. The private capacity has nothing to do with what's going on in the public.
Ding, 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 ding. Bingo.
Okay. They are as different as night and day.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't the charges to the legal capacity first, though? What we're calling the straw man, the ens leges legal capacity.
What do you mean are the charges first?
So in a criminal case, I'm driving without a license. So I'm waiting for them to get back.
Are you?
Me. No, I'm not. Clearly, I'm not. That's what they said. But I don't want to get into my thing because it looks like they just let it go. My point being is they wanted my nexus with it, but the charge itself that they called a charge, the alleged charge, was to the ens legis legal capacity, was it not?
Let's go back to the legal hand grenade comparison. Okay? The grenade they lobbed at you was you were operating a motor vehicle without a license. Operator is a legal capacity.
In that legal capacity.
That operator has specific duties regulating how that capacity may act and be used. Okay?
So the hand grenade's
a
a lot like
motor
a hallucination.
A motor vehicle is a device which is put into use by that legal capacity for the specific purposes regulated by that statute or collection of statutes.
Right.
What they haven't yet proven is the private individual's nexus with that legal capacity in that legal function under those legal duties to do that legal thing.
As it relates to driving, what else besides the license would prove that nexus? When it comes to the ticket on the side of the road for driving, when
they have to prove you're acting in the legal capacity of the person identified, which is operator or driver, depending upon how it's alleged in the charging instrument.
That's when it comes down to the various aspects of all the different statutes that would get pulled together to say, hey, you didn't get this, you didn't get that.
It's where it comes down to understanding three separate things. Those specific capacities or objects and objectives, the use involved in the allegation, and the nexus between the private and the public because you were engaged in the specific activity actually being regulated, which in this particular instance for Texas would be transportation. So, the things they must prove: you were acting in the legal capacity of a person who is defined in this particular instance as either the operator or the driver for the purpose of engaging in transportation-related activities by using a motor vehicle to engage in said activities to accomplish this particular act and purpose in the endeavor of gaining private profit or gain, or
Damn,
achieving
that's a
private
lot of
profit or
layers.
gain.
And that comes down to
Damn,
intent,
that's a lot of
doesn't it?
layers, bro. Woo!
Yeah,
It
totally.
is a lot of layers, and every one of those layers must be proven. And if they don't
Intent.
prove 100% of them, their case falls apart.
So they have to prove substance and the intent of it.
Yes.
Every element of a charge in a criminal case must be proven
And those are two of them.
100%.
Especially when they say and.
Okay. If it's a four-legged stool, they can't prove three legs and keep the stool standing. Without the fourth leg, the whole stool falls. Period. If there are 4 elements, they must allege and prove all 4 elements. If there are 50 elements, they must allege and prove all 50 fucking elements. They can't miss even one. And that's exactly why I said there is not a single speeding case prosecuted in the state of Texas since the day the allegation was ever made that was valid. Not one. Because they have never alleged and proved all of the elements required by the statutes involved in that.
Understanding the principles you give us, how best could we finesse out elements of that crime that they're not proving? It seems like some of it would just come
to
to us.
learn how to read the statutes and the case law that decided things about those statutes, because that is where the specific things, for instance, there's nothing in a speeding charge within the code itself that says that they must tell you what the posted speed is. It was the courts who said that one of the required elements of proving you didn't adhere to the posted speed, not only do they have to allege how fast you were actually going, they have to allege how fast you were actually allowed to go. Without both of those, they cannot determine that a violation was ever committed. He was doing 70. Okay, 70 in a zone designated what? Why is 70 in and of itself supposed to be illegal? Was the zone marked at 35 or was it marked at 75? If it was 75, he didn't do anything illegal. If it was 35, then we can begin to see that he might have been speeding if all the other elements are met.
86 and a 70.
And what is one of those elements, at least as far as Texas is concerned? They have to prove that your speed resulted, and the failure to control it, resulted in a collision with another person or vehicle already lawfully upon or entering the highway. That it tells you that right there in 545.351 subsection B.
Say that number again one more time.
Texas Transportation Code section 545.351B.
545.351B.
Yes. B is in Bravo. And when you look at 545.352, the other statute that says what the maximum lawful speed is for a given type of roadway, that section specifically tells you that the allegation of an offense in violation of these maximum lawful speeds must be made in accordance with subsection B of 545.351. Not subsection A, which is a general declaration and doesn't do a damn thing. B is the only part of 545.351 that matters one goddamn bit in charging a speeding offense. And that's if it actually defined a speeding offense. And it does not. Neither does 352, neither does 201.904, and neither does 1.03 of the Penal Code.
And those would be elements of the case they didn't make.
Exactly. Those 4 statutes contain all of the required elements for the case they didn't make.
That they didn't put on our ticket, that they can't even really string together. That if we started stringing together, they'd start getting
between
pissed.
those 4 statutes, there are probably 30 to 60 fucking separate elements.
Copy that. Yeah. All right. So elements just boil down as a concept. The elements of a case.
Elements are the individual criteria that says it must occur this way or that way by this person or that person in this place or at this time in this manner in order to be a violation.
the deets.
Exactly. The deets.
Well, that makes arguing that point a whole lot easier.
Doesn't
then
it though?
everything I've been through,
When
like
you know what they're supposed to have to prove and didn't, it's very easy to look at the judge. I move for a directed verdict in favor of the defense for failure to prove a claim. They alleged a crime they did not prove all the required elements of, Judge. Therefore, I'm entitled to a directed verdict of not guilty. Do so right now.
Whoa.
It's extremely powerful juju. You just have to learn what the juju actually is.
That's what I've been saying. That's why you're here.
you're a smart
Dude,
man. I'm so glad
Epic, man.
I'm joining this group with you guys
Great.
today.
Everybody come sign up for my class. I could use the money.
Hey, watch out. You actually
Like
ain't
I
that
said,
much.
I teach
How much
classes
is
on
it?
this
How much
Thursday
is it?
nights. It's
How much
$80
is
a month.
See, that ain't bad.
No, because the individual classes, each class you came to was $20 in Austin. And
Yeah.
you may get, in this one, there may be 5 Thursdays in a month for the $80, or there may be 4 Thursdays or 3 Thursdays. It depends on whether or not there's a holiday, how many actual Thursdays there are, or whether or not there's some emergency that prevents me from putting on the class. But either way, it averages out to a much cheaper version of the class overall.
Yeah.
Because you pay $80 flat for the month.
Yeah.
The first class of every month, however, is free and open to the public. I did that specifically so we could get people who are in the same position you guys have been to come to the class and see that some of the stuff they're using isn't going to help them, and exactly why that is. And hopefully to motivate them to sign up for the class so that they can learn how to do it in accordance with the laws and the rules and have a much better chance of winning.
Right?
Eddie, one last thing, bud, and I will sign out after that. I have high hopes that our republic is going to rejoin with her former glory, or at least enough of it to where we know and not balkanize and all this stuff. What do you think about all of that?
That it will never, ever happen as long as we ourselves remain lazy, pathetic, and uneducated.
Yeah.
There's something you guys need to understand about the word apathetic.
Yep.
Okay? You know what it means, right?
Yep.
Apathetic. Too lazy to do what needs to be done. No real interest in doing what needs to be done. But what you don't realize about the word apathetic is that it is 89% pathetic. You get me?
Okay.
Apathy has killed this country.
Yeah.
Apathy is what keeps you where you are and learning shit that's going to hurt you instead of help you.
Yeah.
You want
It
a
just feels
simple,
like the country's waking
quick,
up.
yeah, you want a simple, quick, down and dirty, easy way to fix your problems. It doesn't fucking exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no legal silver bullet to kill the fucking werewolf.
Thank you.
If you
It
ever
is hand-to-hand fucking combat with your silver painted fingernails. Good fucking luck.
well, if you ever decide to need the people to come forward, I'm there to support you.
Well, if you guys have any real interest in attending the class, even just to see what it's like I say, the first Thursday of every month, that class is open and free, so you can get a sample of what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Okay.
But the rest of the month, it's by subscription only. And if you want to get a subscription, it's $80 per month, and you can do it in 1 month intervals, 6 month intervals, or yearly intervals. And there's a 10 and 15% discount overall for doing the 6 and 12 month versus the month to month.
Man, get the link and put it in the chat, please. Come on now.
Yeah.
We need that.
Yeah, you can go to.
My boy Eddie Craig done came through, y'all. I never thought in my life I'd be able to get cool enough to get Eddie Craig to talk to me, bro. What?
And then pin him down for 7 or 8 hours is even more amazing.
We
Telling you, bro. It's crazy, bro. Oh my gosh, bro.
We've held him hostage. I hope he doesn't.
No, bro. He's. Yo, I think what's happened, and I don't know. I'm gonna speak like he ain't even here right now. I think what happened is I told him to come look at my videos, and I didn't demand it from him right off the bat. I was kind of patient. It's been like a month we've been going back and forth and talking, and I think he checked out some of the videos, and he was maybe like, well, damn, maybe this guy's got something going on here. You know, he's doing something
Well,
right. Let me fine tune him up and sharpen him up and get him
yeah,
right. So
what Mandy just put in the chat is actually accurate. I do love this shit, and I live for it. But the reason I live for it is very different than most. It's not because I have all these personal battles I have to take on. It's because I don't like bullies, and I don't like seeing people get railroaded and ramrodded by authority figures that think they are the shit. Can't stand it.
I'm the
I
same
grew
way.
up being
I'm
the
way.
defender
I'll
on the
fight a bully
playground.
all day long.
What's that?
I'm the same way. I cannot stand a bully. I will stand up to any bully who's messing with somebody weaker. I'm the same
Yeah,
way. I'm
but
the defender of the weak.
no matter how much you hate the bully, you enter a fight with a bully either willing to get your ass whooped or
Yep.
knowing how to whoop his ass instead.
I'm that. I know
Okay? I would always rather be the latter than the former.
yeah,
Especially when I'm in the process of having to take on more than one bully at a time, which has happened, both literally, physically in the real world and in these other cases.
Well, you
Okay.
and I are just the same on that aspect. I have beat up a lot of bullies in my day.
Well,
And-
I've been beat up and I've done some beating up, and I learned real quick I prefer to be the beater rather than the victim.
for real.
Yeah, that's a quick lesson, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it don't take many of them.
No. Right off the bat.
And that's where you also learn one other very important rule. There is no such fucking thing as a fair fight.
oh, you already know.
Yeah,
A street fight is very much like a court fight. Anything goes as long as you can show a good reason for having to do it. Okay?
all right. Hey, Eddie, I'm not gay, but I love you, man. Thank you for your time.
That
And
voice said I'm not gay.
I would not have presumed that if you'd have said it without the prelude. But okay.
No homo.
in this,
I mean, the plaid fucking lumberjack shirt.
Well,
already
wait,
made
he
that
said,
clear.
he said the presumption's already out there, man. It's so.
I got the plaid shirt. I forgot.
I'm not so insecure in my own manhood that another man saying he loves me makes me grow chills and want to go hide. No.
Yeah. I've actually, I'm not used to saying that word or saying that to another man, and I have used that a couple times recently. So that was also towards Cameron as well. I was like, I said that to Cameron as well the other day. I said,
Yeah, for sure.
and so, just and nothing I have against them. I just not that.
Well, I promise that I won't take it as a proposal.
Yeah, women are, and I love
Jesus
them.
loves.
All there is to it.
All right, everybody. Y'all say bye. Y'all say thank you.
Bye, thanks.
Eddie.
I put the link to the Logos Radio website in the chat for you guys if y'all want to go sign up for a class or whatever. But if you will email me to the taooflaw@gmail.com address and ask to be added to the mailing list for the class, then you will get noticed when the free classes come around.
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay?
Already done.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you.
Y'all have a good one, and I
Have a
appreciate
good
y'all
night.
Thanks,
listening
Eddie.
and
Right
all that.
on.
Thanks, Cameron.
y'all.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank
Love you guys.
Really
Thank you, Eddie.
awesome.
Have a good one.
Love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Spread the word, man.